Kim Kardashian, Ellen DeGeneres, Taylor Swift, and pretty much every famous person doesn't care about science, and this is why. The clickbait stops here, because I'm looking out for you. As I'm making this video, I'm finishing up my last semester of my undergraduate studies, and I have to tell you, it sucks. I spend my day reading page after page of boring scientific articles with the goal of trying to find one sentence that I can cite in my 7 gajillion papers. And for those who haven't been fortunate enough to read one of these scientific papers, they can get really long. But the truth is, this is just a taste of how the science community works. I've been fast-tracked in my studies, but in theory, I'm in year 4 of my post-secondary education. This means following high school, I've spent 8 semesters. That's 7,680 hours, or the equivalent of 192 full-time work weeks of my time on my education. I paid nearly $100,000 to attend university, and as far as the science community is concerned, I am still only qualified to read these scientific papers. If I work a year or 2 more towards my master's, I might be able to co-author a paper, and 4 to 6 years after that, I will finally be able to author my own work. Along the way, I would learn to use scientific lingo, aka codes only other members of the community at my same elite status or higher would be able to understand. This ability to talk over other people's comprehension would be seen as a sign of success and fortitude, to the extent that I would be greater rewarded for my ability to talk more exclusively, as opposed to a way that more people could actually understand my message. So I thought I would take a spin and try my hand at a formal research study of my own, with the goal of writing my very own scientific research paper. And this is what happened. First, because I'm not officially qualified to author my own paper and conduct a study of my own, I needed a PhD to oversee my work. Enter Miguel and Edu. Surprise.
Millions in California are dealing with dangerous.
That's it? That's all I get?
What were we supposed to do?
Act surprised. Happy to see you, Miguel.
Oh, do it again.
Surprise.
Hey, how are you?
These two are the most kick-butt, us against the world, ragtag team of accomplished researchers in my university's biology department, so I had to use them. And just as a side note, they totes have the tea on the scientific community. Hashtag most relatable conversations ever. But I digress. I told them about my idea to research what motivates social media influencers to post about environmental science topics. After some laughs, sushi, and a trip to Portland, the two agreed to help with my project, which led me to step 2, funding. The truth is that this project literally costs like nothing but time to conduct. But you know that somebody pointlessly giving you some cash to conduct your project totally gives you more credibility, so I tried to get some. I got to work crafting out a proposal, which, as the name would suggest, is just a whole ball of fun, and submitted an application for my Lazuri grant, which is a scholarship from my university for undergraduate students conducting research. It was accepted, most assuredly because I had 2 of the most savage advisors on the project. Savage. And I was able to finally focus on step 3, being the project itself. From day 1 of the project, my goal was to search out how we can help get more social media influencers involved in science conversations online. Despite their seemingly elitist structure, the science community does really good work. They may not always be the best at disseminating their findings to the masses, but that doesn't diminish the quality of the research. If they could in some way either partner with influencers to get them interested in science, to post about science-related topics on their own, then society as a whole would benefit. When I was first looking at the treatment for my study, I really wanted to look at the science literacy of social media influencers. Basically asking the question, how much science do they really know? I see all these environmental influencers, you know, the whole zero waste and straws are evil kind of peeps, and I wanted to know if they were actually qualified to give advice. But after looking into the specifics of how I could actually accomplish this, it was both too expensive and didn't get to the root of what I was looking to find. So I instead shifted my mindset to focus less on what the influencers knew and more on what they were actively discussing online. Long story short, I ended up settling on a content analysis, which, to say it super complicatedly, is a research technique that is used to make replicable and valid inferences by interpreting and coding textual material. But to say it in plain English, I looked at existing posts to see what influencers were talking about. So here's how it worked. I collected the account handles of the top 50 personal Twitter accounts based on their following. The list included celebs such as Taylor Swift, Ellen DeGeneres, and Kim Kardashian, hence the clickbait of the video. Then, following the new year, I downloaded the lifetime of their tweets using a Twitter scraping tool and then separated out only tweets from 2018. I then conducted a word search for a list of terms such as climate change, fire, and hurricanes. This helped me narrow down a smaller list of specific tweets that I then went in and individually analyzed. I started with nearly 30,000 tweets from all the 50 accounts, and the keyword search helped me narrow it down to a list of just over 300 that I then individually read and analyzed. So after over a year of work, what did I find? First, I discovered that science-related conversations are severely lagging behind more culturally, politically, or economically motivated conversations in terms of sheer numbers and frequency. With nearly twice as many mentions to Trump and 3 times as many references specifically to the term music, there were almost no science-focused conversations when compared. Second, I found that when influencers did tweet about scientific topics, they trailed public inquiry, meaning they tweeted about topics once the public as a whole was actively talking about an issue. Many times this stemmed from a focusing event such as the California Wildfires or the East Coast hurricanes. This is indicative because it counters the belief that influencers set the conversation, instead suggesting that they simply weigh in on what the public as a whole is already discussing. Lastly, I found that influencers post about what they know and relate to. Beauty influencers posted primarily about beauty, musicians posted about music, and performers posted about their performances. Topics such as politics, music, and lifestyle were also highly tweeted about in addition to the individual creator's profession or area of expertise. If an influencer is able to relate to an issue, they are much more likely to tweet about it. So what? Influencers aren't as big of trendsetters as we first thought, and they don't post about science, and it's probably because they can't relate to it. You're probably also thinking that you can't relate to a 50-page research paper either, so what does it matter? The truth is, the top influencers probably would care more about environmental science issues if researchers would put more time into making their work more relatable. The science community needs to present new findings in a way that influencers can personally relate to, and by doing this, they won't just be reaching influencers, but they will also be able to grab much larger audiences as a whole. If you can get Taylor Swift to take time out of her day to listen and understand a topic, then you are much more likely to get millions of others to stop and listen as well. Being a social media loving post-millennial myself, there is no way I'm going to pay to read a boring research paper when David Dobrik vlogs are perfectly free and much more relatable. And therein lies the punchline. If I can better relate to a multi-millionaire who lives thousands of miles away and drives a $250,000+ car, supposed the cause of the pollution overtaking my home simply because of the messaging, yeah, that's a pretty hilarious problem. Future Tim here with a really quick side note. While I was producing this video, Lil Dicky shocked me and the rest of the science community with his release of Earth, the official music video. In addition to Lil Dicky himself, the song included cameos from a number of celebs, including Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, Charlie Puth, and many more. The video received over 70 million views in just over a week and stands as an example of how science communicated well can reach a wide audience. In truth, the music video itself did very little to explain complex scientific topics, but it did work as a marketing tool for a much larger campaign. In addition to the music video itself, Lil Dicky produced a 4-series video campaign that explained more complex topics related to Earth and environmental science. The campaign focused first on an overview of the climate issues, second on the energy crisis, third on nature, and lastly discussed agriculture's effects on climate. To date, the series collectively received an additional 1 million views, showing that if communicated properly, both influencers and the public as a whole can effectively relate to science topics. To quote Lil Dicky himself,
"I'm going to educate you on what's going on with the Earth because I didn't know anything, and I learned a little bit, so hi."
If the science community does a better job at relating to influencers on an individual level, just like with Lil Dicky, we can collectively work together to make a meaningful impact outside the science community. Okay, back to you, Past Tim. So to answer the question of why Kim Kardashian, Ellen DeGeneres, Taylor Swift, and pretty much everybody in the entire world doesn't care about science, except Lil Dicky and his friends, it's because the science community does a really poor job of presenting their work. Over the course of my time earning my degree, the science community in general has been so focused on keeping itself elite and exclusive that nobody outside their club can relate. Alternatively, my studies showed that when influencers were able to personally connect with science itself, they were much more likely to use their platform to discuss the issue. So I take you back to the old adage, people are people. It's funny to think how simple a shift it would be for the science community to make an exponentially greater impact. I can't think of a better way to summarize my past year of research other than a quote from Orange is the New Black star Natasha Lyonne. It's a wild thing that people have the ability to help each other by just relating. Hey Savages, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, you might as well give the video a good old thumbs up because you probably like it. This is the first video of my channel relaunch, and while I know it was a little intense, moving forward I am going to try to bring some more substance to the good old entertainment videos that I make, though it is not going to be usually as much substance as this video had. I know it was a bit intense. The next story though I am working on is how is David Dobrik and Mr. Beast able to spend so much money on their videos. So subscribing is highly advised so you don't miss out because it's going to be a crazy video. I'm your man Timothy Bach, and until next time, make sure you keep that smile side up. Bye-bye.